I would like to dedicate this song to you, my love. I don't have a heart. I don't have a heart. Yes, I don't have a heart. I don't have a heart. You know it too. You said it too, that I don't have a heart. Will you tell me what can I do? I don't have a heart. It wasn't my fault, it was yours. With your powerful eyes, you took away my heart from me. You stole it from me. Now that you have my heart, I cannot love anyone else anymore because you have it all. Tell me, my love, what can I do if you are away from me? I can't live without you, but you should know I'll never come after you. If you need me, I'll be yours anytime. My love, tell me, what can I do? I am so much in love with you. Please tell me, what can I do? Tell me, what can I do? I know that you belong to someone else. I can't have you anymore. But if you need me, I'll be yours.
So you haven't looked for a house yet?
Hmm?
You didn't look for a house out here yet?
I didn't what?
You were planning on looking for a house?
Oh, I am planning, but I am not planning to move anywhere, you know. I want security place.
Yeah.
I don't know if I find. I saw once, it was very cheap, 2 bedrooms in a security place, and where Philip used to live before,
Mm-hmm.
in that apartment, in that area, before the Pepperdine Law School. And it was 300,000, and it was nothing. I didn't buy over there. And Philip went and found this place. He thought that it's close to your Belinda. Yeah.
Did Phil tell you he was going to Hawaii?
He's going to Hawaii?
He told you about it?
Yeah.
Oh.
I mean, we were together a night before, on
That's
Saturday.
Right. That's right. You went to Gail's house.
No, we went outside to
you
eat
did?
something.
Oh, okay.
It's in an Italian restaurant. We were together. He was sitting next to me, and we talked a lot.
Okay. Say hi.
Hi,
How are you today?
how are you? I'm fine, thank you.
Good, good, good. Okay.
Is there any view in my background?
Yeah, we've got a nice plum tree, looks like, and a nice green tree, and a lot of colors around you.
Mhm.
So, actually, it's a very good background. Okay. How you feeling?
Fine.
Yeah. Just to remind you, I'll ask you, what I'm going to do is I'm going to ask you first about, I want to try to go back in your history in your life.
Yes.
And I want to ask you about what you remember about your grandparents.
About whom?
Your grandparents.
My grandson.
Your grandparents.
Oh.
Can you remember that?
Yeah.
What is your earliest memories of your grandparents?
Well, I know that I was born in Antalya, Turkey. Antalya is a city that my father used to work in, and he was a doctor. And Saint Mary was born over there.
Who?
Saint Mary, Jesus' mother,
Okay.
was born in Antalya. So many people goes from America to Antalya, mostly. And I was related to the kingdom family of Crimea, Russia. It was Turkish descent. They spoke Turkish and Russian. But I never learned Russian. My father talked to me in Turkish, and I was speaking in Turkish all the time. And when the Russian people had a fight with Crimea, and the Crimea kingdom fell. My father used to belong to Crimea kingdom, and he used to be a prince of Crimea. And I became a princess of Crimea, Turkey, Turkish speaking.
Do you know what year that was?
I don't remember exactly. I think it was about 1920 something.
And how old were you when you became princess?
I was newly born.
So you were very young.
I was very young. And they said that Crimea kingdom fell and the Russian people took over. But the Turkish kingdom in Istanbul, Turkey, he invited my great-grandparents to Istanbul, and they stayed in the palace of Turkish kingdom. I mean, another Turkish kingdom. When the Crimea fell, and they had another kingdom.
Do you remember your did you ever meet your great-grandparents?
No, I never did.
What about your grandparents?
Grandparents, I did some, but I never knew they are my grandparents. They came from Russia, Crimea. And my father took me when I was 4 years old to Damascus. He became a private doctor to the first president of Syria. His name was Muhammad Ali al-Abid, Beit al-Abid. And he worked about 10 years over there. And then afterwards, after he died, the I mean, uh,
The president died?
the president.
Mhm.
He went, before he died, he went to Paris.
Your father went to Paris?
My father went to Paris.
And were you with him?
No, I wasn't with him. I was still small. And I was going to French high school, Lycée Franciscain de Damascus, French high school.
And who were you living with?
It was my mother,
I was living with my mother.
yes, and my brother and sister.
So who did you stay with in Syria?
I stayed with my mother when my father went to Paris with the president. The president died and he came back, and we knew the king of another Arabia, Faisal the First, and he went with him. Faisal called him and said that I'd like to have you as my doctor. And he was working over there. He worked about 2 years. But 10 years of our life, I was in Syria, and my mother sent me to French high school, Lycée Franciscain de Damas. And it was after the high school, I went to English college in Beirut. And I finished over there to become a reporter. And I became a reporter. Afterwards, my father left Saudi Arabia and came back, and we all came back to Turkey.
Where in Turkey?
In Istanbul. And I met my husband. On that time he was a pilot, and
For the Turkish Air
for the
Force?
Turkish Air Force. And he was working in Ankara, Turkey. And afterward, there was one of the, I don't know what you call it, a high-class person. He said that, Suna, would you like to go to America or to England? I said, I can go always to England, but I like to go to America.
Now let me back up. You met your husband. Do you remember what year it was?
I can't remember well. Well, I met him 1920.
Okay. And where did you meet him? He was in the Air Force?
No, I met him at the party that we gave, and he came to the door, and my brother took him in without knowing him, because he was wearing the military school, outfit. And he knew that he's a nice person, and he said, come in. And he came in. And he saw me, he sat near me. And after that, we became good friends. It was my party. I was giving the party. And afterward, he came and he saw me a few times, and he said that he likes to marry me. And that's what we did after a few years.
And then, so you lived in Istanbul?
Yes, no. We lived first in Istanbul, and then when that one of the senator of Turkey, when he sent me with my husband to America, and we came to America, and he became a diplomat of Turkish embassy, and he worked here.
Who became?
My husband.
So, Charlie became a diplomat?
Yes, he became a diplomat, and he worked in NATO in Washington, D.C., and he worked at the Turkish embassy. And we spent about 4 years over there. Within 4 years, I had Gail, my daughter, my second daughter.
And where were you living at the time?
I was living in Washington, D.C., and my daughter was born in Walter Reed Army Hospital.
Medical center.
Yes.
Yeah.
And Eisenhower was president at that time. And he was staying next door to me.
Eisenhower was?
Yeah. And
Did you get a chance
he
to meet him?
came, yes, I met him, and he came and he gave me flowers. And we became friends. And he invited me someday, I mean after that, after leaving the hospital, he invited me to his house, to the, what do you call, a house of,
White House?
White House in Washington, D.C. There was a big party. We had to get dressed white dress and white gloves.
Did you go?
I did that. Yes, I
So
went.
you went to the White House for a party?
Yes, I went with my husband.
Did you take any pictures? Do you have any pictures of that event?
I used to have, but I don't know where they are. All my pictures was taken by my children. I mean, by Gail and by Philip. When I moved from Yorba Linda, I don't know where they put it. It's in a box, but where? I have to search for it.
So you lived in D.C. and Gail was born?
Gail was born in Washington, D.C. And she was about 4 years, I believe, no, 3 years old. We came back to Turkey. And when we came back to Turkey, my husband said, I am going to England to bring some vacant planes. And I said that I'd like to come. He said, there is no place for you to stay in the field. So I didn't go. And he went, and I stayed in Turkey, and I said that to my husband. I said, Charlie, I am going to go to American Embassy and ask them for a visa. He knew that they wouldn't give visa to anybody before 10 years. Wait. And I went to the embassy. The American ambassador said that if your daughter is born over there, I said yes, she is born in the United States, and she wants to see her country. American ambassador gave me visa of 5 years for America. I was so happy when I went home. I saw my husband. I said, well, bye-bye to you. You want to go to England. I am going to America. He said, how come? I said, I got visa, 5 years. And he said, okay, and I left Turkey, and I left my mother in Turkey. She was living with me.
Can you tell me a little bit about your mother?
Yeah, my mother, her name was Sadie, and she was married to my father very young age. She was 14 when she got married.
What was your father's name?
My father's name is Jamil Suleiman. And he said that to me after I was born, when I became a little older. He said to me, look, I didn't put your religion on the paper, on your book, but I would allow you to do anything you want to become, Christian, Muslim, Jewish, whichever. I said, okay. He said that you'll take your religion to your papers after you become 18 years old. And after I became 18 years old, I said, I'm choosing Christianity. And I did. And that's what it happened.
So your mother got married when she was 14.
Yes, with my father. And my father was a doctor, and he died on the 52nd year. He died. I mean, second years he was, his age.
He was 52 years old?
No, he was 52 years old when he died. But he was very, very good doctor.
And so you moved to the United States, and you left your mother behind in Turkey.
Yes, I left her behind in Turkey. And on the way, I mean, when I was graduated from college, I became a reporter. And I did the first reporting of Senator Esther Faber of Tennessee. And he was very happy to know me. And we came together from Italy to United States. And my brother took me to Canada. And then after that, Senator called me and said, Princess Suna, I'd like to call you to Washington, D.C. And he said that I want you to meet John F. Kennedy. So he'll bring you to here as a citizen. I went to Capitol Building, and I met John F. Kennedy over there with Senator Esther Faber. And he said that, Senator, please, he was senator at that time, he wasn't president. And he said, please, my friend, the Princess Suna, wants to become an American, so please do something. He said, okay. He said to me, go to Canada back, and I will try to make you American citizen after you come from Canada. In 1 week, I became citizen of the United States because of him.
You said you were a reporter. Did you study that in school?
Yes, I studied in English College, BSDC English College in Beirut.
And so when you became a reporter, do you remember who you worked for?
Well, in Turkey, I worked with a magazine which they put on.
So it was a newspaper
Yeah,
reporter?
newspaper reporter.
Not television or...
Yeah.
And did you continue doing your reporting when you came to the United States?
In the United States, I did the reporting of Senator Estes Kefauver
Okay.
of Tennessee. Only him I did the reporting. After that, I gave up the reason. I went into not study, some,
Research?
no, it was an opera. And there was Carl Ebert, who lives in here, in California. He was over there. He was in Turkey, and he was building the opera. I was the last person who was accepted to opera. And I became an opera singer for 10 years. I sang Madame Butterfly.
Madame Butterfly?
Yeah. And Figaro, The Wedding of Figaro, too.
Do you have any recordings of any opera that you did?
I had.
It's not good. So when was Susie born?
Susie was born on 1924.
Do you remember how old you were?
No, not 24, excuse me. 34.
34. So how old was Gail when Susie was born?
Gail was 2 years old.
Okay. So there's 2-year difference between the two.
Mhm.
When did Charlie come to the United States?
I called him. I said that, come over here and meet Senator Estes Kefauver. He came to, I was in Canada, Montreal, with my brother. And he came over there, and I left my children, and I called my mother to come and see my children, and I said that you may stay in the United States with me. And she came and she looked after my kids.
So your mom came from
From Turkey.
to Montreal?
Yeah, to Montreal. And then from Montreal, I called her. No, I went back and bring my children and my mother
To the U.S.?
to U.S. when I became citizen.
I see. So
And
your mother lived with you?
My mother lived with me, and Robert Kennedy, he wasn't president yet. He was Senator John F. Kennedy. His brother, he came to, he took my mother, and she became citizen of United States. He was, Robert Kennedy was living next to me in Long Island. And on the other side, Mayor Wagner used to live next to me. So I was in between. And they helped me. They helped my mother.
You mean with the citizenship?
Yes.
And so how
I
long
mean,
did,
mostly Robert Kennedy did.
so you got to know him pretty well?
Yes, I knew him because of John F. Kennedy first met me. And then they told me that Robert Kennedy is coming from out of town. And I went and I saw him at the airport. That's the time that I talked to him. And he took my mother. He took her to become citizen of United States. And then she came back.
So you lived in Long Island with your mother and your daughters and Charlie
Yes,
for how long?
for maybe 10 years. But I used to work at a club which has a big place of invitation. I mean, they used to do invitation. They used to make.
A club?
It's like a club, but it's mostly for food. For people who wants to have the night, I mean.
Oh, I see.
And my daughter got married right there.
In Long
And
Island?
I invited everybody over there, Susan, when she grew up a
She
little
got
bit.
married to who?
She's married to a German person, Dick Pine. And she has now 3 kids in Sacramento. And she died. I lost her. I lost her when I lost my husband. After 6 months, I lost her. And she had a cancer. They couldn't survive her. And after I lost her, I got very much attached to Gail, my smaller daughter, who is here.
Let's back up a little bit. When did you move from Long Island? Did you come to California?
Yeah,
After Long Island?
yes,
With your mother or?
with everybody.
Okay, where in California did you move to?
To the biggest city,
Los Angeles?
Los Angeles.
Was it in Pasadena?
No,
No.
it was in Los Angeles, close to.
Was it Hollywood?
Oh no, I lived in Beverly Hills first. I lived in Beverly Hills close to 10 years, and then I moved to Hollywood, next to Raymond Burr. And he had police at the door and this and that, and they helped me a lot. And afterwards, when he moved from Hollywood, then I moved to Yorba Linda.
Now,
My husband was an Air Force pilot. He went to Air Force Base here.
when you lived in Beverly Hills, did your mother live with you?
Yes,
And your two daughters and Charlie.
yes.
So you lived there for 10 years,
Uh-huh.
and then you moved to your Belinda.
Yes,
Did your mother move with you?
yes. She moved with me, of course.
And you guys bought the house on Mountain View?
Yes, afterward, when my husband started to drive to his job long way, so I said, okay, I'll move to your Belinda. And I moved to your Belinda.
And Charlie moved with you?
Yes,
And
He-
Gail and Susie,
yes,
they lived with you in your Belinda?
yes.
And,
And then I lost Susie.
well,
I lost Charlie first, and then I
what
lost.
what about your mother?
My mother was with me.
And
I lost her after a while at a hospital in, where was it? St. Jude Hospital,
St. Jude
yes.
in,
I lost her over there,
in Burbank?
yeah. It's Orange County.
Oh, Orange County.
It's not
And
Burbank.
what did she die from?
Well, she died heart attack, but she was okay, and they opened a hole in her throat. After that, she couldn't live, and I think that it's hospital's fault.
Do you remember what year she died?
I don't remember
That's okay.
exactly.
Okay.
I don't want to remember the death, you know.
I
If you
understand.
ask me when she was born, I would know.
When was she born?
1912.
My mother was born.
Hmm?
My mother was born.
My mother was born on 1912.
You remember her birthday?
Yes, it was on September.
September what?
I think the first.
Okay. And when was Phil born?
Philip born on 10th of September 1939.
1969.
69? He is 35 years old now.
He's 35.
36, I'm sorry.
Well, then that would have been 1970.
No, 69.
69?
Hmm?
Okay. And were you living in your Belinda when he was born?
When Philip was born? Yes.
Where was he living?
When Gail brought him to life, with God's will, of course, and I took care of him right away, because she was married to a man first, and he was an older man, and he had some children, and they wanted to beat him up to Philip. I didn't let him live with his mother. I had to take him and take care of him, and every week I used to take him weekend to his mother.
To visit?
Yes, for visit, and all week she used to come and visit him every other day.
Now, when did she moved out from your Belinda? She was living with you, And then she left. She moved to Hollywood?
No, she moved where her father was doing. I mean, he was a builder. And he came to me, he asked me her hand.
Her husband?
Her husband.
What was his name?
His name was, oh my, you got me.
That's okay, all right. Anyway, so he asked for her hand in marriage?
Yeah, her hand in marriage. I said, well, this daughter of mine, she likes to have servants, she likes to have Rolls Royce, she likes to have good house. He said, don't worry, I'll do everything, which he did. She had a Rolls Royce, good life. I mean, and he gave her a big building for her. And he was going to give me too and my grandson too later, but it didn't happen. Well, anyway,
So
she was happy with him, but she never worked. She used to relax, rest, sleep, and enjoy herself.
So,
And he lost his mind one day. And he said to me, listen, I have to get separated from Gail because I am not a good husband anymore. And what can I say? Gail accepted. And he separated, and his son looked after him. And at last he died. We went to his funeral.
now was this Phil's father?
Philip was there, yes. Philip's father was a young man and wanted Gail works at home, looks after his mother. So I really didn't want her to do that because she was very young and she wanted to go to college. And he wouldn't let her another husband, I mean Philip's father. And well, at last he accepted to have a divorce. I said, don't ever see again Gail, please. He said, no, I won't. And he went and he got married with her friend from school. And he had to because Gail didn't want him anymore. She stayed with him maybe a day or two, and she didn't want. And suddenly I found out that she's pregnant, and she wanted to have an abortion, and I didn't let her. I said, look, you have this first child, and I will look after him. And then I did. I looked after Philip. And I raised him up to 22 years old. And he was very happy with me. One day he said, Mother, Grandma, would you allow me to go to my mom? I said, of course you can. And he went to her mother's house. And he was going at the University of Northridge. And that's what it happened. He finished the University of Northridge. And I said, Philip, tell me, what did you become? He said, I became a businessman. I said, only businessman is not enough. I want you to become either doctor or lawyer because you are a very intelligent person. You can do it. He said, okay, Grandma, I don't want to become a doctor, but I don't like the blood side. then I'll become a lawyer. And he used to talk well. And I took him to Pepperdine. And I made him sign to Pepperdine. And I left him over there, and I bought him an apartment building, a flat, few rooms.
So tell me some memories about Phil when he was a little kid.
Well, when he was kid, he was going first. I was sending him to Yorba Linda High School on that time, and he started to become like a punk. I mean, doing his hair up, and he wanted to be, I mean, like punk for a while. And I said to him, look, your grandpa doesn't want you to become punk. What are you gonna do? He said, Grandma, give me 1 year. I want to learn how they live, what they do, those punks. So that's why I have to do my hair up. I mean, stick them up. And I did for him his hair. And my husband said, oh my, he said, I don't want him in his house. I want him out of my house. I said, no way. He'll stay, but you'll go. If he doesn't, if he won't stay, you'll go, I said. And he didn't say anything much. And it was really only 1 year he became a punk. And I met all the punks at that time. And I had a good feeling toward Philip because he is a good guy, good person, very good. And I loved him very much. And of course, he's my grandson. What am I going to do? And he became back. One day he said, Grandma, you don't have to do my hair up. I want to leave it, and I will cut those hairs. And I saw him cutting his hair. And he became back home. I mean, whatever he was. And then he said, I learned everything about them, what they do, what they are. But I can't be like that, he said. And he finished the law school, and he became a lawyer. They accepted him as to a job which they paid him $7,000 a week. And he said to me, he came back to me and said that, Grandma, this is not right. I would like to make more money than 7,000. So I don't want to work over there. I said, what do you want to do? He said, I don't know, I don't have the money. I said, okay. And my husband had died for a while later. I sold my house and I gave all my money to him, all the cash that I had. And he said, thank you, Grandma. I will pay my bills with this. And I bought him 2 jets, one for Nellie. She was his girlfriend. And one for him. And I gave him all the money that he can eat. And later on, I said, look, I said, if you want, I'll pay you more. I paid him more for his $1 million home. And they bought it, and I didn't have left any money except my monthly payment. And I said, it's okay. And they lived on that for a while. And then he opened a business, computer business, and he made money from that. And then he bought this house, $6 million it was. I was very happy. And he sold his business for $20-some million. And I was very happy.
Were you proud of him?
Very. He didn't do anything bad. He said, Grandma, you don't know what I did. I said, I know what you did. I know you used to tell me everything. That's enough, whatever I know. But you're a good kid, I said. I still love him the way I did.
You had a good relationship with him when he was growing up?
Yeah.
Did you guys talk a lot when he was growing up?
Yes, we used to. Not now. Now he is involved with his kids and his wife.
What did you used to talk about?
Usually I talk about his life. How is it? I wanted to know that he's happy. That's all. I didn't talk too much. And I said, I'm glad that you made good money. And he wrote me a letter, and I am saving it in a frame, that letter. He says in that letter that, Grandma, I am very proud of you, and thank you so much what you did for me.
Can you tell me that again?
He said, Grandma, thank you very much what you did for me. If it wasn't you, I wouldn't have become this way, multi-millionaire. And I was proud of him by saying that. The letter is sitting in my living room now.
Do you read it often?
Huh?
Do you read it often?
Well, I read it once in a while. I know what he meant. I'm so happy that I helped him. Very. They told me that you shouldn't have gave all your money. I said, no, not to Philip.
Who told you that?
Everybody. I'm so happy that I gave him. Because he spent it for good things, not a bad thing. And he's a good kid.
Do you remember when he was a little kid?
Yes.
When he used to ride his bike?
Of course. I used to, when I bought him a brand new bike, he was about 8 years old, I believe. And he started to drive that bike. And I used to follow him always with my car. At last he said, Grandma, don't follow me. I said, okay, I won't follow you. I'm just curious that you drive well. And one day he's driving, 3 kids in an open car. They stopped and they were stealing his bike from under him, and he was screaming. And I was behind him, he didn't know. I rushed fast and I screamed to those kids. I said, leave this bike, this is my grandson. And they left him. When they left him, I was happy, and he was happy. He said, Grandma, follow me, please. I used to go with him to the classes, you know.
Which classes?
All the classes, from 1 to 8th grade, I believe. I used to go because they used to say that he's a very bright person. He has a very high IQ. They called me from Los Angeles. They said, ma'am, you have a wonderful grandson, and he is very high IQ person. And be careful and let him do it right, everything. And I told him that. And I went with him every time. I went with him to the classes. Like he was on 3rd grade, he went to 6th grade classes to study. I miss Philip and children now.
Can you tell me a little more about your mother?
Like what?
What was she like? What kind of a person
Oh,
was
she was 14 years old when she got married. She kept the book that my father wrote for her. She kept it under her pillow, and her father saw her keeping a book, and he took that book. He said, oh my God, you're in love. You better get married before I get upset.
She told you this story?
Huh?
She told you this story?
Yeah. And she told my father, and my father came and said that to my grandfather. He said, well, I am not, I don't have strength to tell you that that young girl of yours, she's in my heart. I'd like to marry her if you accept. He said, okay. And they got married early. even 13 and a half maybe she was.
Wow, it's very young.
Very young.
Now, you got along with your mom very well?
Very well. I looked after her until the end of her life because she didn't get married after my father. And I said, you can come and stay with me. She came and she stayed with me. I looked after her. I never complained anything she did. Nothing at all. She was very happy with me until the end in the hospital.
She taught you a lot of good things about life?
Oh, yes. Only she wasn't too happy that I got married with a pilot. And because he used to be away all the time. And he said to me one day, don't ever make me jealous. Don't ever smile to anybody else. And I listened to him and I didn't do anything wrong. And
Do you have any particularly strong memories or vivid memories with your mother?
with my mother, well, my memory was with her all the time. I mean, I lived with her. She was a very good talker. She was a good, she used to speak good French, German, Arabic. I speak 6 languages:
Really?
Turkish, English, French, Arabic very well, a little Italian and German. That's all. I love languages. I wanted to learn Spanish, but I didn't. I sang in Spanish. They took me to opera, and they spoke to me in Spanish. I said, I don't know Spanish. They were wondering, how do I do such a good thing? How do I memorize, I mean, the way that Spanish people talk? As a matter of fact, now a Spanish boy, his name is Miguel.
Miguel?
Not Yigal, Miguel. He is 26 years old. He's in love with me. I don't want him. He's too young.
Where did you meet him?
Huh?
Where did you meet him?
Well, wherever I eat at a restaurant. He comes and he talks to me all the time. I just ignore a little bit.
Tell me a little bit about your father.
My father was a real good doctor and good person, but very, very strict. He wouldn't smile. He wouldn't talk to us.
How did that affect you?
Well, I used to be scared from my father when I looked at his face. He used to look exactly like a President Atatürk, Turkish president, which he was his best friend to the Turkish president, Atatürk.
So did you have a good communication with your father or not?
Not good communication. Good, but very, very strict person. I used to speak very little. But at the last minute, the last person he saw me, he said to me, "My dear, I didn't know you are such a wonderful person." I went to the hospital to see him.
Now,
And the last time,
the last time you saw him before he
yeah,
died, that's what he said?
I did see him, the last person. And he said to me, "You know, I didn't know you. You are such a wonderful daughter." He said to me, when I get well, I will go to Syria and I will take you with me to Arabia. But never happened. We were in Arabia with my father, but we were far away always. He loved to be a serious person all the time. But he was a wonderful doctor. That's what they said, everybody. And he used to invite all his friends, the presidents and his associates, and he used to bring some people who dances, the belly dance. And he used to drink every night raki, they call it,
They call
the
it what?
white drink.
The what?
The white drink, raki. I don't know what you call it in English.
Looking back, what are some of the things you miss about your parents?
Well, their personality, they are not here. I always remember them. Always. Especially I remember my older daughter, Susan. She was a very good person.
Tell me a little bit about Susie.
Susie was a very demanding person. I mean, demanding like love and friendship and affection from her husband. But her husband didn't give her much. And she used to do everything. She used to take care of her 3 sons. She used to take care of her house. And she had a very big house with a 5 acre of land. And she had a horse. She used to ride a horse very often. She was a very good person. She invited me last, and I went her to see her, and I saw her like a month. And then she said to me, "Mother, we are going to travel toward to the ocean, and you cannot come, I know. So I believe that you're going to go home to Gail, to my sister." I said, okay, dear, if you're okay, I'll go, but if you're not okay, I will not. No, she said, you may go, mother. And I took off and I came back to Gail. And they went for a trip and they came back. When they came back, I saw Gail is running to her sister. I said, oh my God, what's going on? And she called me, Susan, and said, Mother, you know something? I'm on a wheelchair. I said, oh, you'll be fine, baby. I'll come and see you. And Philip came with a girlfriend and took me to Susan's hospital. And I went and I saw her whole family was around her. And she wasn't talking. Only when I went, I held her hand. She opened her eyes. And she said, Mama, Mama. That's all. The last time I heard her. And it was sad, very sad. I told to the doctors, I said, my grandson Philip is getting married. I want her to his wedding. And they tried to put her off. Before the wedding, 2 days, she died. And I asked the people over there, the nurses, I said, can I stay with her all night? Don't take her away. They said, okay. And her husband and children, they went. And Gail and Philip, they came back here. And I stayed with her all night, holding her hand, kissing her. Oh, it was very sad. I stayed all night awake looking at her, and I took her picture when she was dead. Last pictures.
Smile. You say hi?
Hi.
Just wait. Tell me, do you remember some of the things you did when you were a child, when you were a little girl?
Yes, I loved someone. His name was Carlos de Aranda. He was I loved someone. His name was Carlos de Aranda. And he was the son of the Consul General of Spain. He loved me very much, and he wanted me to marry with him. But at that time, until I got married and I had a husband, that's the time he asked me.
He was a little late.
He was late. I said, no way. And I went to Beirut, and he came to see me. He said, please save me from my fiancée. I don't want her. I want you. And, well, he wanted me. He stayed over a night with me. And then I said, no way.
How old were you?
I was about maybe 20.
What about earlier than that? Do you remember any memories from when you were 7, 8, 9 years old?
I remember, but I was a very shy person. I used to do whatever my mother says, whatever my father says. I used to be with them all the time. And although I liked so many people when I was much younger, but I didn't do anything wrong. I didn't approach them. And after I'm married, I didn't approach any man, no man at all. And he died, I didn't even hold hands, except Yigal.
Except mine?
Now, holding my hand and walking with you. Everybody knows how I live. Well, it is not right for me. I am getting much older, but my heart is young all the time. They would never know that.
You feel young?
I feel very young. And I say I'm Jack Benny 39.
You're what?
I am 39 like Jack Benny.
That's right.
Unfortunately, people I like, they are married. What can I do? That's why I am a very nice girl.
What did you like doing when you were a little girl, when you were younger? Did you have any hobbies or?
As a hobby, I used to go to school, and I graduated from so many things, like 12 diplomas I have.
Really?
Yeah.
In what?
In dressmaking, fur, sewing, or cooking, or dressmaking differently. I don't know, so many things. And I became a, what do you call, a doctor's
Assistant?
receptionist. and I became a nurse. I graduated from a hospital of Istanbul, and I worked with a surgeon 2 years. All the other girls and men, they fainted when they came to the doctor's office. I didn't. I was very strong, and that's why he hired me.
Who would you say is or was your best friend?
My best friend? Did you say my best friend?
Yeah.
Girl or boy?
Either one. Both.
Well, girls, I didn't have a best girl, best friend, because always they cheated on me.
Oh, yeah.
But boys, yes. I had boyfriends. I mean, I figured out that they are my boyfriends, but it wasn't really. I didn't do too much when I'm young.
Do you think you enjoyed life?
Hmm?
Do you think you enjoy life?
I enjoy very much life, very much.
You have a passion?
I want to be younger than I am now, and have life, good life. But I don't think so. After this age, nobody would have me. But in another way, I have a friend, not boyfriend, but he is in love with me, and he is 26, very young,
Mm-hmm.
because
too young for you?
he is too young, and I am scared to be friends with him.
Why?
Well, I don't know him well. Is he a thief or is he a murderer? Whatever. There is lots of them on the TV.
I'm going to show him this videotape.
Huh?
I'm going to show this videotape to him. I'm kidding.
So, I loved some people when they were young, but I didn't do anything wrong.
Do you have any regrets in life?
Hmm?
Do you have any regrets?
Regrets?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I do.
You want to share that? You don't have to if you don't want to.
Hmm?
You don't have to share them if you don't want
I don't have to what?
to. Share them. Would you like to share your regrets?
Oh, regret. Yes. I loved somebody, but he didn't care for me. That's my regret, so I didn't tell him anything. It's you. It was. Everybody I liked, they got married. Everybody.
What do you think are your greatest achievements in life?
I don't hear you.
What do you think are your greatest achievements in your life?
My greatest achievements, Is it, do I count it as an achievement?
What are you the most proud of?
Proud of?
Yeah, you're proud, aren't you?
Yeah, I am proud. By doing nice things to John F. Kennedy. By doing nice things to many people. Either with my hands or my money or the way I am. Everybody likes me. Everybody. I don't have any enemy. I don't have anybody that says you weren't good to me. I respected everybody. She passed away,
Who was Item?
my adopted sister. Oh, I mean, we didn't make too much, we didn't acquaint it too much together because she was very demanding and she was very unhappy what she is. And she lost her life 2 months ago. Recently. She was young. I mean, much younger than I am. People, they don't know what they will have. Suddenly they get sick. I tell to my daughter, I say, don't put me in the hospital in case. No hospitals. When a person is strong, they make her sick. I know.
Let's talk a little bit more about Phil.
Yeah, Philip is the best, huh?
Do you remember any funny stories about Phil?
Funny?
Yeah.
I don't know any funny stories.
You do.
What? You tell me.
When we used to play music, punk rock music in your garage,
Yeah,
remember that?
I do. My husband used to say, I will throw him out. I said, you go out, he'll go in. I couldn't stand anybody talks against Philip. He is still my best grandson. I have very good grandsons, 2, 3 of them, very nice, very good to me, very respectful. But it's funny that even Philip is not calling me anymore much. When he wants to call me, he calls me once, that's it. And I don't hear from him long time. And I always expect his call. He used to tell me always, Grandma, how are you today? Hope you're not dead. I say, don't worry, I'm not gonna die. Now he's busy with his wife and children. Let him be. I am happy that he's busy. That's all I want to know, that he's happy.
Have any advice for him?
Hmm?
Do you have any advice for him?
Advice
Yeah, life.
to my grandson? I always give advice.
Well, here's your opportunity to record it.
Well, I say be good to your wife and children, and be good to me. Don't ever forget me. Call me all the time. And he says to me, Grandma, you called me 3 times. Isn't it enough? And he doesn't answer my phone. I said to him, well, if one time I call you, you have to answer. 2nd time, 3rd time, maybe 4th time you answer me. 5th time. Once I called him 10 times, he didn't call me. Why do I expect? I know he loves me, but I know he doesn't have time for me. He used to have lots of time, that's why he made me get used to him more than my other grandsons. Eric is my oldest grandson, older than Philip, about 3 months. And he used to call me every single day, every single night. Now he's calling me a little bit, he is leaving me alone, and he calls me once in a while, but we talk more than half an hour on the phone.
You have a very good relationship with Eric?
Uh-huh.
That's good. What about Mark?
Mark is very good too. Mark, he loves me very much. But now he has a girlfriend, that's why he pulled himself a little bit. Bobby is the smallest. She says, I love you, Grandma. I miss you. I want to come and see you, but never happens much. He works in a drinking place. He serves drink. And he's not bad at all.
Pretty tall for the smallest guy.
No, I saw him not too long ago.
I saw all of them, Mark, Eric, and Bobby.
Bobby?
Yeah.
Here, right?
No, actually with Phil and Nellie and the kids, we went out to dinner in Sacramento.
Oh, yes.
In fact, I think I have some pictures.
Hmm. Can you make, copy of it?
The pictures?
The ones that you took me?
Of course I can. You want me to give them to you?
Yes.
Of course I will.
Not now, whenever you can.
I absolutely will. Definitely. I would love to.
I am going to fix my house and then I'll call you.
hold on, I'm going to show you some pictures. Oh, maybe they're gone.
Aren't you cold? My God, it's got cold.
Are you cold? No, I don't have
A
those
little
on here.
bit.
I will send
You
you some
didn't
pictures.
bring a jacket?
No, but I'm fine. I'm not cold at all.
Oh,
I'll tell you what. We're
how
going to-
come?
Huh?
How come? You have lots of blood to feel warm.
Do you know your grandparents' names?
Not exactly.
What do you know?
You know, I forgot.
Okay. What, do you have any memories of your grandparents?
I have my grandparents, my grandmother. I know what she was. She was a very kind person, very intelligent person, and when she got married, she made herself, I mean, they love her very much, and she was a very nice person. She wasn't a bad person, and she belonged to a good known parent. Her father was one of the biggest person in Turkey, almost. And then she had my mother, my uncle, and mostly my mother used to talk of her. That she is very nice. She doesn't talk too much, but she is very nice. What can I say?
Do you remember
She doesn't, what?
Do you remember what she looked like, what your grandmother looked like?
Yes, my grandma looks like white hair, a very old body, and how can I say, and she is smiling person all the time.
She was happy.
And she is happy. She doesn't talk too much. Her children is one of my mother and my uncle. My uncle was very nice too. He was a government employee.
What about your grandfather?
My grandfather, which one? My mother's side or my father?
Let's start with your mother's side.
My mother's side, my grandfather was a wonderful person. The one who saw my father when he gave my mother a book, and she put the book under her pillow. He found it and he said, "Okay, get married now."
Now,
yeah.
where was he from? You know?
He was, yes, from Istanbul, Turkey.
And where was your grandmother from?
My grandmother is from, from the eastern part of Turkey. It's in Europe. What do you call, I don't know, which is the closest part to Turkey? Anyway, she had a Greek descent too. And she used to be very, very kind and nice person. And she was from a good family, that's all I know.
Now, your grandfather on your father's side, is that where the Yigal name came from?
No. My grandfather from my father's side was descent of kingdom family.
Of what?
Kingdom,
The kingdom?
yeah, of Crimea, Russia.
Oh, okay, that's right.
Yeah, Kirim, Russia. He was a king. His parents. He was a king, and he lost the war with Russian people. And when he lost the war, Russian people said, "You can stay or go to from Crimea." And the reason Crimea is the best place in the world, in Russia, I will say, it's the best land. You can have all the fruit, all the vegetables, everything from there. But from other places in Russia, nothing comes on, nothing grows. So they wanted to take away the Kirim, and they did. They were strong. And Kirim is a small place, but it's a good place. And my grandparents was like a czar of that place, and they named him. Oh, what they named him? I don't know. I forgot the name. I mean, they named him as he's a great person, they said. And my father was born in Istanbul, Turkey, but then his parents are from Crimea, so he went to Kirim to visit them so many times. He was a doctor, my father, and he became a doctor in the boats too, because he lost his leg at the job. They cut his legs.
Your father's?
My father. And he had a wooden leg last few years. And he was a good doctor, very good doctor. He lost his leg because he was a doctor in the boats, big boats, Mediterranean. And they said that we can't do anything but cutting off. He wanted for his life to cut off his leg. And he won his life for another year. And he came to Istanbul, and my mother used to be over there in Istanbul. I mean, long before she got married with my father, when he was in good shape. And then he was an older person, my father, and my mother was a younger, much younger, 13 and a half, I believe she was. And she got married and have children around 14 years old. And she had my sister and me and my brother. My sister lived until 22 years old. And then she died in a hospital because of thyroid problem. they, one of the doctors, the best doctor of Turkey, he cut her throat, and he couldn't survive her. And he left her just like that on the table, and he ran away to Ankara, Turkey. And then he was my father's best friend, and he apologized. Apologize doesn't do anything. My sister's life is gone. She was very beautiful. She had blonde hair, blue eyes, white skin, very, very beautiful woman. And she wasn't married. She was engaged to a senator of Turkey. And that's the life that I had with my parents. My brother was a good person, very good person, and he was engineer. And he helped a lot his wife and his children. And then at last he died all alone in Canada. He didn't tell me that he is very sick. And I couldn't see him. And that Aitan went to Canada. Aitan, my adopted sister. She went to Canada to his grave. And he said to his wife, and he has 3 kids. I don't know what they do now. She said that my sister, Suna, for me, she died, she said. She was lying. She was a big liar. I don't know why she said that. After that, I never wanted to see her much.
Did you have a good relationship with your sister and your brother?
With my brother, yes. With my sister, no. Because she wasn't, she didn't get along well. She was always against everybody. And she wasn't my blood anyway. So that's what I thought.
You guys didn't play together a lot?
Yeah, we did. My mother went and she stayed with her so many times. And she kept saying that, "Lady, I am higher than you are. Look." She used to go on the chair and say to my mother, "How dare you to say to my mother like this?" My mother is very, very old, respectable person. How can you say it? I mean, I couldn't stand her after that. But I never did anything wrong.
And you were closer with your brother then?
Yes, with my brother I was very close. He used to love me very much.
You had a lot of fond memories with him?
Well, when I was small. And then he got married in Canada to a French woman. And then he slowed down. And he had 1 boy, 1 girl. And those 1 boy, 1 girl, they are alive. They are in France, I believe. And I didn't hear from them, and I lost where they are. And they don't call me or get together or...
Was your brother older?
No, he was younger than I am, 2 years.
2 years? You guys played together when you were younger?
Oh, yes. We played together a lot, and one day what he did, he held my skirt and he pulled my skirt, and then I fell on my face. I remember that. And I hurt myself. He said, I'm sorry, don't be sorry. I said, you did it.
What else do you remember about your brother?
I beg pardon?
What else do you remember about your brother?
About my brother,
What
that
did you
he's,
guys- What did you guys
he was
play? Did you guys
out.
play?
Huh?
You guys played together?
Well, we played together, but how do we play? I don't know. We used to play, run after each other, that's it. And he used to go to out of town very much. And he spent his life out of country very much. And he got married again on the top of his wife. I didn't blame him, but it wasn't good, of course. But I never did anything like that in my life. I respected my husband, and I was with him all the time. When
Where-
he, I beg pardon?
Where did the Akelp name come from?
Akelp is his, it means white heart. That is,
Turkish?
yeah, in Turkish. And he got it in Turkey,
Who?
the name,
Who got the name in Turkey?
my husband.
Okay.
It's my husband's name,
It's Charlie's?
Akel.
Okay.
I mean, it didn't mean too much to me because there wasn't any long story in his life. I loved him because he was a military pilot. I fell in love with his boots.
I remember him very well. He was a kind man.
And then he loved me very much, and we got married, but he made me cry every single day
Why?
in my life, making me jealous. He said to me, don't ever make me jealous with your friends. I said, no, I will not, and I stopped smiling or saying hello.
Did you guys got along though, didn't you?
Hmm?
You and Charlie, did you get along?
Yes, when we are together alone, we got along well. When he sees his children, he gets mad and he tells all the bad things about me. But I didn't care. I know.
Tell me some good memories. I want to know what were the good times with Charlie?
Good part?
Yeah.
Well, the good part is his heart is good. When I need money, he gives me. When I need something, he does for me. But that is a good part of him. He never argues with me all the time. No, once in a while, yes. He loves me. He said he loves me so much because he went so many times out of town to fly. He flew the presidents and his wives and his children all the time. any country's presidents wanted to fly with him. He was a good pilot, but I never wanted to fly with him because when he's a wife, he can make mistakes.
He played tennis a lot, that's what
Yeah, he played tennis. I wanted, when we were in Yorba, I told him, I said, let's join the club. He said, what are you going to do with the club? I said, well, you'll play tennis, I'll play tennis. And then he didn't say anything, but I went and I joined the club. And I told him that he can play tennis now. And he came and we played together many times. Many times he played with other girls, women. I didn't say anything. I saw that he's happy. I left the tennis. The reason I left, I think I hurt my leg again. And only I was a little better later on. I didn't come to play. I went and I watched him. We used to play together. And I left him to play with the other girls. And he did. He did a lot and he was enjoying a lot. And he stayed a lot in the club until evening. I waited for him. When he comes home, I used to give him good food, hot food, and he used to be very happy. Only at the end of his life, I think he was sick and he wasn't telling me. He had lymphoma on his throat, cancer. And he said to me, you're watching too much television when you're in bed. We had a television in our bedroom. And he said, will you put me to another room? I said, okay. I had 5 bedrooms over there. And I put him to another room. And he stayed all alone in that room, and he used to go early to bed. And I used to watch television. What can I do? I mean, if I'm finished with my children. And at last he said to me, he's sick. I took him by force to a doctor, and I went with him to his job. I told his supervisor, I said, unfortunately, my husband is not able to do any work. Please, will you excuse him? I mean, tell him to leave the job. He said, okay, and he said to him, he said, look, I'm going to let you go, but you better be good to your wife. And he said, okay, and I said to him, I love
What do you miss about your parents?
About my parents, I miss their presence. I miss them so much because they were very good parents to me, especially my mother. My father used to be very good, but he was very, very strict person.
Did you feel a lot of love from them when you were growing up?
Sure.
Yeah. So you had a pretty strong bond with both of them?
Yes. I do.
So you think they did a good job raising you?
Oh yes, especially my mother. She did a very good job, and my father used to be away all the time, but he was very good too. I think that they were the best mother and father in the world.
Were you proud of them?
Very much. My father used to be the top doctor. How did he become a president and king's doctors? He was very highly known, and I'm very proud of him. And my mother was the most wonderful mother in the world. I liked her very much, and I loved her.
Did you tell her that? Did you ever say, "I love you, Mom"?
Sure,
And your dad as well?
yes.
And did they say it to you?
My dad used not to tell me too much. He used to be afraid that we will take advantage of him. And he wasn't like, for example, my grandson being father and he loves their children. He never showed his love. But the last moment he told me that he loves me so much.
So it was hard for him to communicate that love to you.
No, not heartbreaking.
Not heartbreaking. I mean, it was hard for him to be emotion, to show emotion.
Well, I was in an emotional problem too. I used to love so much my father, I couldn't get any answer. But my mother used to solve this problem. She used to give us so much importance. My mother was the best mother in the world, I would say. The best.
What was it like for you growing up as a child?
In where?
As a child.
Oh, in time. Well, growing up,
Growing up.
I was okay when I was young. And then when I got older, it bothered me
What bothered you?
being old, looking old, not being old. I am not old, I'm young.
Do you remember a lot? Do you have a lot of memories from from your childhood?
From my
when you were a little girl?
Oh, well, I loved my mother. I loved the way she treats us. I love the way that she takes us to the trips and everything.
She used to take you on trips?
Yeah.
Places? Like where? Where would she take you?
Like to Lebanon, Syria, or in a boat all over Turkey, all over in Mediterranean, and to Europe. She used to take us to Europe so many times.
So what did you do for school when you were traveling?
Well, when I'm traveling, I didn't travel in school time. On summertime, I traveled with my mother and father. But in school time, many times we went with the school to Italy. For example, we met Mussolini, the President Mussolini. And we went so many places with the school in winter time. Summertime, my mother and my father took us. I mean, all over Europe I was, all over. And I was, first time I came to United States all by myself. And then I brought my husband to the United States. But I was very happy in the United States. I became a happy person. That's why I have been here 55 years now. And I don't like to go to other places much. I used to, but now so many things getting bad. That's why. I still like to travel, but
Getting a little harder?
harder because I am all alone now. That's why harder. I used to go all by myself to Europe, to Mediterranean, but now I don't. I didn't travel to Europe or to Eastern time, to East many times. Too lonely, I can't go anywhere now. Father's picture, yes, my father's. I had them, I don't know where she put them, I have to look for it.
Okay.
Yeah,
Well, if you can ask her, and I'll ask her as
okay,
well.
sure.
That would help me a lot.
Yeah, I want to find it too because I can't put it anywhere.